Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Angie Hayes here of Angie Hayes Therapy. And I put together this mini video series of 3 videos where I want to talk about solution focused therapies and what I do basically. And why have I felt compelled to come on here and do that? Well, because I think there are a lot of, there's a lot of misunderstanding about exactly what we're trying to achieve with them and what they're all about, and understanding around the effectiveness of them. And people just haven't really heard of it that much because it's a relatively new thing. Solution focus has been around since the 80s, so it doesn't go back all the way over centuries like other approaches do. So it's relatively new. It's been around just over 30 years. And so there isn't the same bank of evidence, but there is evidence to suggest about its suitability. So solution focused therapies that I actually provide are solution focused hypnotherapy, solution focused brief therapy, and solution focused couples therapy. They're all very same and all a little bit different, but they're all trying to achieve the same thing. And it might be easier to understand what they're about if I tell you what they're not to start with. So there's a myth out there that they're problem-free, but we never talk about the problem. Well, actually, that's not true, because sometimes people need to be heard. So we can talk about the problem, but the magic isn't going to happen in talking about the problem. It's going to keep you stuck in the problem. The magic happens when we get into the solution, which is where I'm always trying to gently move the focus when the time is right. They're certainly not analytical. So some people have come to me in the past and said, but aren't we going to talk about that traumatic event? And aren't we going to go into detail? And aren't we going to keep talking about my brother who's really treated me badly? And I just say, well, we can, but what do you want out of life going forward? Because we can't change what happened, and we can't change the person that your brother is or whatever's going on with that person. So what tends to happen in analytical therapies is that you will delve into the past and look at what went wrong, why it went wrong, how it went wrong, and look for a way of reframing the thinking around that to bring forward a better way of dealing with it in the future. Very appropriate, has certainly got its place in the approach to mental health. Not here to judge it, but I'm just pointing out that this is not generally an analytical therapy in that way. The other thing is, it's not going to help people who aren't ready to deal with the mental health issues in their life or relationship issues in their life, because I'm not just passionate about mental health, I'm passionate about happy, thriving, emotionally intelligent relationships as well. And if we're not at that point where enough is enough and we want to make changes, this isn't the approach for you. Maybe there's some other stuff you need to work through first before you feel ready to take responsibility and make changes. And when I say ready to take responsibility, I'm not being judgmental. Some of us just don't have to take time out to get to that place where we're ready. And that's absolutely fine, because we're all different and we've all got different ways of dealing with stuff. So how else are they different? Well, they're very future focused. Yeah, so 4 key things you need to be aware of, very future focused. So I'm interested in the outcome you want. First and foremost, what are your best hopes from working with me? What outcome do you want? What difference will that make if you achieve that outcome? And more often than not, it's something around, I want to be happier, I want to have more confidence, and an end state that somebody wants to achieve. Yeah, I just don't want to be free of overthinking. I want to be at peace. Yeah. And then we'll work to get complete clarity about what having peace would look like in your world, or happiness, or whatever that was in your normal life. What would be happening? Yeah, because we're trying to get to the second point, which is what already works for you. And if you do more of what already works, recognizing and bringing into your awareness how you do it, what skills and abilities you've got that make you do that, despite however bad things are, because that tells you an awful lot about the sort of person you can be at your very, very best. So it's very important that we draw all of that stuff out of you. The other vital thing about this whole process and this whole approach is noticing signs of progress, however small. Why? Because progress leads to more progress. The more you see things improving and the more you see you're able to cope, you start getting more confident and calming down and relaxing and getting more brave and courageous and able to implement more changes and more changes. So progress leads to progress. So we have to make you aware of your progress, even if you don't feel you're making progress. On some level, most times you actually are, because you've lost touch with that amazing person that you actually are. We're all amazing. We're all little legends. We just lose sight of it sometimes because we get so wrapped up in overthinking. And the other key thing that we don't do is give advice. I sometimes give insight. I helicopter in with a bit of insight, reframe the thinking and helicopter back out. But it's very arrogant of me, I think, to believe that I know what's best for you. Only you know what's best for you. You're the expert on you. You're the expert on your life. I'm not inside your head. I don't know. So have you ever noticed then that you rarely take advice you're given? Why? Because it doesn't resonate with you. It's somebody else's way of dealing with something. It's not a way that you're comfortable with or feel ready to introduce in your life. And that's why advice isn't always of the greatest benefit. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I've had the most amazing insight and advice. But it's when it's more insight and less advice, or you should do this, or actually the best thing I've ever learned is this. That's insight. When somebody says, oh, I think you need to go and do this, that's advice, or you need to do it this way. Insight is, well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Or have you thought about a different way? And all of the tools and techniques in the solution-focused approaches are really designed to get you, and I mean really, really, really thinking. They're hard questions. They really get you thinking to gain that insight and understanding about you. What skills you got, what talents, resources, characteristics about you that make you who you are and that are going to help you to formulate that plan to lead that happy, thriving life that you deserve. So that's a little bit of an introduction into what solution-focused therapies are about. In my next video, I'm going to talk more about solution-focused hypnotherapy and solution-focused brief therapy, because they're slightly different approaches, but they're both suitable for the individual. And then in my third video, I'll be covering solution-focused couples therapy, which obviously is for more than one person in the room. Okay, so thanks for watching. Lovely to spend time with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.